And so I remember it got to a point, it got so bad that I would get into the car early in the morning, 4 or 5. I go like I'm going to work, park outside. I don't want to go into work, but I don't also want to stay at home. I've quit my job. And then couple, like I didn't tell anyone. And then also, shortly, I've also decided this marriage is not working for me.
Two huge decisions.
Huge.
Like back to back.
Yeah. My family, I'm not telling them.
Yeah.
They know something's up. They had seen that sort of decline. But I was, for some strange reason, in that darkness, it was the most peaceful I had been in over 10, 15 years.
So, Chris Kirubi is the person you're talking about. You're with him at Capital. They have a sort of like a design, not just the programming and traffic and commercial side. They also have like a design place, and you're thinking about websites and how to monetize. That's where we left it at.
Yeah, so being the industrialist entrepreneur, he had seen the future long before any of us did. He had already figured out that what was happening on radio could actually be converted
To digital.
So on radio, we had a sports desk. So that becomes a sports website. We had the radio itself, it becomes its own website. There's business, there's lifestyle.
I'm trying to look at what period was that in the, what years were those? In my head, I love radio. I come from that background, so I delve into radio a little bit more. Who are like the morning presenters?
Farid.
Oh, it was Farid then.
Shanice.
Oh, that was a good combination.
Yeah.
Then Italia would come
Italia.
next. Afternoon.
Yeah.
The
no, not early afternoon with the rock.
Oh yeah, 10 to 2 would be Italia. Then in the afternoon, the Jam was by the boys, Leo and Marcus. It's not that era.
No. I found out those Marcus when I was coming in. And then also Ses came in.
Oh, Ses did that? Oh, okay, I remember then the period,
Yeah, so yeah, I think on the programming side, a bit of it is still
a little vague.
Yeah, a little fuzzy, but yeah, it was such a great time to be at Capital because it was always like so much fun.
A lot of events over the weekend.
Not even over the weekend. I remember there's this one time, CK and Somoina just came in on a random weekday, like a Monday, and said everyone just shut down, and then DJs set up, drinks came in
the studio,
and we had a party from morning until late. That was the kind of place it was, where it was just spontaneous. It was like the creative energy was just like the place was just buzzing with energy. And
who was the head of? Was it the era Kinandavi? One of the Ndavi boys who was leading creative.
No.
Okay.
This was the era Kina Solo.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's not too far ago.
Not too far ago, but when you're talking 2006,
back.
2007, still a while back. I'm sure many people have about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that go about?
So we set on creating this digital business, and as I said, CK also understood how to mature a business. Who do you need when it's starting? Who do you need when now you're good at making the infrastructure? and who do you need to now turn it into a business and blow it out of the water. And I think he did that beautifully.
And often it's not one person, it's not one skill, so it's
not
one
skill.
person. Yeah.
So you can imagine me with my design skills learning that now I'm going to have a new boss and she's coming to turn it into a business. Like, I struggled with that. Like, but we started this together. I struggled with that. And, you know, looking back, I see CK was just applying something that he had
business acumen.
Worked so many times. Like, he knew the rhythm.
And
it was like a play.
Yeah.
The characters that start are not necessarily the ones that finish.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll introduce many others.
You introduce many others because you're building up to something. And he did that beautifully. And
that's an
before we knew,
leadership.
Before we knew, suddenly we had clients.
You're blown up.
Yeah.
People are wanting to advertise on digital.
Exactly. And then I also learned something else, which was interesting. You know, when a lot of us, when we go into a venture, our approach to building value is very simplistic. And what sets apart a really good business leader from the next leader is how you can take a very straightforward way of making money and discover other more sophisticated ways to even increase that value that you're generating and the income that you're making. For me, I knew that, you know, these websites, they're going to make money if we get people to advertise on the platform. So every time I spoke about the website, I would go to people and say, hey, you can advertise your product here. This is how much you sell space. And very soon I learned that every client we spoke to wanted the front page. They didn't want the other pages. So that puts a limit on the amount of real estate you can sell on a website. And CK comes in and says, I'll take it from here. Starts thinking deeply about, okay, where else can we go? And then remember, you have now someone who has come in to
inject like some
the business knowledge,
monetization.
Yeah, to monetize. And suddenly you're hearing things like, okay, we're going to write a story about someone or to do a feature, and then you're going to put links in the feature, and then someone is going to pay for those links. We are going to bundle this digital platform with an event.
Right.
Where, for instance, if you're launching a product, the launch starts online and then morphs into a physical launch. We are going to get someone to experience how apartments look like, apartments for sale, by walking through the apartments digitally. Stuff that I don't think I would have known how to do if we didn't have this 70-plus-year-old guy using old proven principles.
Tried and tested principles.
Yeah, that can work whether you're doing digital or you're laying bricks.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me that Chris remained relevant to the very last day.
Even now.
Like, and
even beyond.
Posthumously. Like, absolutely really relevant.
Of course.
And I mean, I think, you know, that's the definition of you aging like fine wine, because it's the value. While some people at times retirement or as you're growing older, you're becoming more out of it. Chris I love to watch or listen to perspectives from him, because I'm like, the older you grow, the better you actually become.
Exactly.
It's not, but for others, though, you see like it's a roadblock. For him, age was never I mean, he was still cool. He was still DJCK.
I remember this one time, funny story. I remember this one time, we are at the Stanley Hotel, and we're just going in through the security check, and then an old man with very oversized clothing, clearly ametoka from the countryside, stops him and says, "Hey, Kirobi, hey, hello, hey, Nelly." And CK stops, looks at the guy, squints through his Maybach glasses, and he remembers this guy. And then for a moment, I'm looking at this guy, I'm looking at CK. This guy looks very old, he's almost about to topple over. And CK says, I was in school with this guy who was behind me. And then quickly he says, hey, hello. I think he hands him something, and off he goes, and he leaves the guy still wanting to talk, but CK doesn't have time. And we asked him, so like, why did, like, is your old mate, man? Like, why just be in a hurry to leave him? And he said, you know, I am associating myself with the future, not the past.
Come on.
That's why I hang around young people, because that way my brain will never get old.
It doesn't. Yeah. Oh.
And like it was just profound.
That's deep. Like that's deep, and then deep some more.
Because he would have chosen to just, you know, go back and live in nostalgia. Actually, one of the reasons why, I think, in my view, why he refused or kept postponing our requests to do a book on him
was because he was feeling like it's going to...
He wasn't a person of going back.
Yeah.
At the nostalgia, as we used to be. Like in those 10 years, the amount of times he got vulnerable and told me about his childhood. I can count them.
Countable.
And it was always
a teachable moment.
A teachable moment and a different aspect to what he told you last time. But then every time he says it, you understand why he is the way he is. He was not living in the past, he was living in the future.
I associate myself with the future.
Exactly. And so he taught us to he taught us to
see ahead.
To see ahead, and also not to be stuck in nostalgia, because what you're doing there is you're trying to say to the world that was better than who you'll become.
Yeah.
And that's just what a waste.
I mean that reflection is hitting hard.
Yeah.
Very.
Because you can get stuck in talking about, you remember us, we did.
Yeah.
Clearly he didn't want to go back here.
And then you have already lived that past. You know, someone asked me, dude, you've worked in some like serious organization. I'm like, I do not even see that. It's true what you're saying.
And it was great.
But what we are doing now is much better, bigger, and what we'll do in the future is even makes what we are doing now like just child's play. So
exactly.
I feel very validated by your commentary on Chris.
Yeah, it's like Steve Jobs, stay curious.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with the digital business, he came in, brought in a team, and suddenly it was
hitting there.
But then also that for me was a huge moment in my life, because I think I was still struggling with, we started this together.
All right.
Now you've brought everyone to the party. Nowadays you don't sit with me, you know, because you're wondering like now
you have other new favorites.
Yeah, you have other new favorites, and what I didn't understand was like that is how, you know, that is when I started seeing a pattern in my life, saying that actually this has always happened, and it has been this unseen hand that gets me to a point, I celebrate a bit, and then drops me so that I can know that this is not it. You've learned what you need to learn. You've graduated. Move on. And I started getting uncomfortable.
But you say it's like 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
That's a while.
That's a while.
Yeah.
But I'd started getting, I was looking at my
Your peers.
files just the other day, and I saw, because every time I wrote a resignation letter, I used to file it. So I started writing my resignation like 5 years before I left.
Oh, wow.
And it was always to CK directly. And when the resignation letters, when I wrote the first one, it was very long. And then the more I kept writing, they went on reducing in content. And it's because he would not reply, he would not respond.
Oh, wait, you would actually send?
I would go even put it on his desk. He would not open, not read. You just ask me, what is this for? I would say, it's my resignation. He would tell me, tomorrow, first thing in the morning, see you in the office. Just stop this nonsense. And he would say, I'm busy, we'll talk tomorrow, you go. And I got so frustrated because I'm like, I'm not growing. You're not telling me what I'm supposed to do tomorrow. And so this one time I sat him down and I was asking him, so like, what's the plan here? Because now there are people who are doing the graphic design, there are people who are doing the coding, there's someone who's running the business. I don't feel comfortable here. And I said, I want you to give me more responsibility. And he asked me, so what do you mean by more responsibility? I said, a manager. He asked me, of what? What do you want to manage? And I said, I want to manage graphic designers. He said, why would I put 2 managers in one department? You answer that question. I was like, what? And he told me, you're frustrated, right? I said, yes. He's like, if you had other skills, I'd probably put you in another one of my companies and there maybe you'd be a manager. I said, I have skills, but which ones?
Oh, man.
And I think it was painful because he told me that, you're ambitious, is great. You see yourself as this big thing that you can't describe, but I don't see you that way. I still see
what you do.
Graphic designer.
What you're showing.
Yeah. So even I don't see the reason of even adding salary because like what you've grown, you've learned a lot. So should I pay you for learning? It's your business. So you go back to your desk, work,
do better.
And then he even said that, I was lucky because I'm a Harvard educated guy. So even if I didn't have this, I'd still get a job. And I went and I sat there and I think I went through this. I think there was so many things happening at the time. At the same time, I'd started dating this woman and we decided to get married. And I remember CK just saying, oh no, another one bites the dust. Like, so you're marrying you don't have money. You're a poor man, like what will you do?
I actually want to have a boss like that. I don't think I don't know if I have the gut to be that way, but I would like someone to.
He was.
The person I worked, so just a very little caveat. In 1999-2000, Nation FM started, and they did a whole poaching of people from Capital. Capital is
I was among those who are being
poached.
Talked to.
So Bob came. Bob went to Bob Kyoko went there. Maina Kageni went there. There were a number of people who did. The interesting thing is that with that poaching, the gap, the big and very sincere gap that was left at Capital was that how have we just been played? And then it wouldn't last long because I think after Nation soon Kiss would do the same to then take minor and then, you know, like that kind of thing. The thing though that the one person who came from Capital who ended up being exactly like Chris Kirubi was a guy called Tony Patti. Tony Patti was Kalasinga with Anini. He had presence, literally every single way you can imagine, and he was doing the morning radio show. Someday in studio, I did a mistake and just you see these reclining seats, so I was passing. I was his production assistant for the morning, trying to put music in the different places. So I pitted with like I hit his chair, and then his chair went, and he had just put on the fader on. So he said he cursed loudly. Then he called me names live on studio, and the world is listening. I went in myself in the loo. I cried. I was like, I've been called these things. But then he called me back. He said, you know, why are you crying? What's wrong with you? Why have you been a weakling? If you want a future, you have to take this kind of thing. He put a lot of sense. I actually felt like he had blessed me. As though, like what seemed like an abuse, I felt very enriched by it. I was like, please be speaking a little more about that. I think that's the kind of people who speak like that and might have like that kind of authority. They have earned it, you know. And I think that's what Chris Kirubi was like for you. Like he's hammering things that no one else can tell you. Your friends won't tell you that, your parents won't tell you that, or anyone else will probably monopolize it a little to make it sound gentler. He's just saying it as it is. And
it's the thing that is in low supply right now. Back then, the industry was just like that. Like if you went to advertising, advertising was just ruthless.
Ruthless. Completely.
Like no, those, like now things are different, and of course, like people are going through a lot. We also have to be.
But it was also like there's a whole behavioral psychology around it, because also those people are coming from a place of hard knock life. Hard knock life,
and also genuinely caring about you, a person they have never met, but seeing that you're actually missing out on life by focusing on those 2-3 feelings that you have right now, and they're blocking you.
They're blinding you from the future.
Greatness. And so CK used to do that really well.
So he tells you this about like why you get married.
So of course I brought my girlfriend over to meet him, and immediately like we left the next day. He was just laughing. I was like, man, like this is like she's very good looking, but the way I see you, you're still not. You don't have money, and me, if you ask me to add you salary, I'll just add you peanuts, because me I don't pay for value that I don't get. So anyway, I get married.
Still working there. Did you invite him?
No, I didn't. Like I invited him before. He said he wouldn't come. Then he shows up. And he comes straight, even uninvited, up a high table. The guest of honor sits there, and everyone asks, what's the relationship? And stands there and gives a speech. It was a very good story, storyteller. And then he says in front of everyone, where is our HR manager? Come. He says in front of everyone, make sure you sort this guy so that he can, because he doesn't have money, so that he can support. And there I was like, yes, salary. Then I get back to work.
Expecting.
And 3 months later, after following, I get this letter that, you have a bump.
Oh, so it wasn't just a roadside declaration?
No, I had to follow it up. But then I think in my mind I was expecting, like it's a billionaire who has made a declaration in front of 1,000+ people. What do you mean? It's 10,000 gross. I sat there looking at my payslip and I'm like,
things are not adding up.
And also I can't like everything is always telling me about like no one will pay for value that they're not getting. They'll only pay for what they are seeing and getting. And therefore, what you're being paid is what you deserve.
Hey, manze.
I remember by that time, now I'm married, my car keeps breaking down everywhere.
Wait, is this the car?
Huh?
No, this is not the car that you bought and took to your mom.
No, that's the car.
Oh, wow. It like...
Aye, me...
It was a German, eh?
No. Mitsubishi.
Eish, okay.
You'll see that in the photos. That car has that's a story for another day.
Right.
But it's breaking down everywhere. Falling behind on bills.
And now with family.
And now I'm starting to get into this zone where now I have to look for another opportunity. Before that, my life has been about making connections, and that's how I get my opportunities. And now I am on my jobs page, completely new territory, trying to figure out, like tamaking online. And I think it was such a tough process because I realized, first of all, no one was looking for people like me. There was no job description that fitted what I was doing.
And what you are doing.
Yeah. Or what I wanted. Because I wanted more responsibility, I wanted to grow. But all the opportunities there are, we are just looking for a graphic designer and we'll pay them 30,000. And now me, I'm past that. I am spending more than I am earning. And you know, in capital, you
there is a lifestyle.
There's a lifestyle. Kizungu hatu kuongea, but
at least you didn't live there same capital.
Yeah, that one failed me completely. But I was just in this space where I'm always now job searching, nini. Alafu when you're in that space where you're just being paid for what you give, you realize that you have a lot of time. Because the things you're being told to do are so simple, you do them fast. I love there are many of you. And so capital was just so flexible, especially if CK is not coming to sit with you. You can come in, turn your computer on, and then go for a walk, and then come back in the evening. And then in the evening, someone will say, okay, I have drinks, we drink in the office. It's a lot of fun. But then now you are supposed to be a married person. And you on one hand, you don't have money. The other hand, you also want to maintain that lifestyle of that young person that you used to be. And so you get into a lot of debt. So I'm at this point in my life where I feel like everything is just closing in on me. I'm not growing
professionally. Yeah.
No one, like the people I want to see me can't see me. And then I'm a married man.
And job search is hard. Online
job search is hard. And so I get into this situation where I'm just unhappy. On the other side at home, again, issues up and pale. I think we were still too young for it. And it got to a point it just wasn't working.
Was the resource factor among those?
I think it's a lot of things. I think that must have played a role. I think every aspect of the marriage then was just upside down. And then one day, someone just calls and says, so you're Michael, I got your number. I can't even remember how this connection was made. We'd like you to come and become creative director of our agency. Like 0 to what's this? Where, how, what's happening? And I wasted no time. Now I wrote my last resignation letter. It was short. Remember, I started long, and then this one was short. Sent it to the HR. HR sent it across the road to International House. And then, you know, have you ever seen a situation where you've resigned but you're waiting for permission?
It is funny.
Yes, yeah, weird. And then CK called and said, come to my office. I went there and he shouted, like, what do you think you're doing? The moment you get out of this company, you're finished. You'll come back here crying, and I'll hire you, but at the same rate. And he warned me, and by that time I was like I
can't stay.
I just can't stay. And I think he also tried to say, okay, maybe there's something we can find for you to do. And I was like, you yourself, you told me you cannot pay for value you're not receiving. And I know I'm not giving you any value, so don't go there.
So it means he was loyal.
He was loyal. He was loyal.
And believed in his people.
Yeah, but I think it took me years
to see that.
I kept on asking myself, like, this guy just dropped me. You know, immediately he wanted someone else to work on the project. But I think what he did was he turned me into this defiant. I think I got this rage where I said, Appa, this feels like something I've fought with all my life, where people want to put me somewhere and I'm not going to fit there, and I'm going to show you. And we always joked with him. I always told him, hey, I'm going to be like, you're rich, but you're not wealthy. And he would laugh, rich but not wealthy, sounds very good. Yeah, me, I'm not a rich person. In fact, if you can buy me a drink, I'd be very happy. And we would joke like that. But I kept on telling him that, yes, I see what you have achieved, but I want to do more. And so that was a joke. Like it was a fun thing that we used to banter on. And so I went into this new job, very exciting because it was experiential marketing. I had never heard of experiential marketing. And I went in, now I'm a creative director. And a couple of days before I show up to the office, the MD calls me to a golf course and he says, before you settle in, I want to send you to West Africa. You accomplish 1, 2, 3 things, and then you come back now and continue.
Oh, so it's not a small company.
It was Pan-African. And I was like, wow, now I'm even traveling. So I get on a plane, I land in Accra, and I meet the team, amazing guys, and I get into agency life, and I thought it was just going to be a couple of weeks. I was there for long.
In Accra?
Yeah.
How long?
Almost 2 years.
What?
Yeah. So yeah. Just to be clear, I got a couple of opportunities to come back, but those were like I had to ask for them. It wasn't as organized as you'd expect for a company that has presence in many countries. And my marriage, on the other hand, was just on the rocks throughout.
Because now on top of what was there, you've introduced distance.
Yeah, so we've introduced distance, and also still have money issues because this other place now, it's just everyone is like an entrepreneur. So today pay comes early, tomorrow it delays, and you're in this foreign land.
Wow.
And it gets so bad that you find yourself, it changes who you are. And then you're supposed to be productive, and you're supposed to lead teams. You're supposed to provide creative direction for different teams across the continent.
How many countries were you present in?
So
Kenya was one.
Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, the DRC, and Zambia.
Wow, that's sizable.
Yeah.
East, West, and a bit of Southern.
So I'm here, but to be honest, I really loved what I did because it was every day waking up
to a different
thinking,
challenge.
okay, how can I get this product to be, to be distributed as widely as possible.
So it's experiential marketing to get. It was product heavy, not service.
Even service. So with experiential marketing, if you want to push, for example, a coffee brand, you don't go to billboards, ama TV. You go on the streets, get people to taste the coffee, and then that's how you onboard people. So the creative aspect of it is figuring out what is the most innovative way of doing that, so that the cost of acquisition per customer is as low as possible, but then you can build loyalty
over a long time. Yeah.
Not easy.
It's too extreme.
Exactly.
I mean, on the ground is the expense is
a lot. It's more expensive than advertising because the cost of acquisition, like you're doing everything physically.
So it'd be in streets, supermarkets.
Yeah, and it is also very measurable. Like a billboard, someone will come and say, oh, we put this billboard up and it led to the increased uptake by this percentage. But that's,
you can't quite tell.
You can't quite tell. It could just be the season for mangoes. So everyone is eating mangoes. It's not because of a billboard. But in this one, it's measurable.
The metrics are real.
Yeah.
You can follow.
The client wants to see how many did we acquire.
And what's the acquisition.
Yeah. So it's not easy. And I got really interested in working on the stuff that was really challenging. Like the stuff that other agencies had a challenge bidding for.
So it's brought you to a place where also bidding is a real thing.
Yeah.
Business development is real,
Yeah.
and you have to show the best.
Exactly. And remember, one part of my life is in a mess. And so I'm putting all my focus and energy on showing everyone, me, I'm not here by mistake. Like I'm the most creative guy you'll ever see, and the last creative one you'll ever see. That it was always on my mind, whether someone pays me or not.
And are you the only creative director?
I'm the only creative director.
All right. So it was
and then there are all these different
other roles,
other businesses, and I'm providing creative strategy for them. So if they are going for a bid, I'm the one who will think about, okay, so how will we capture this job? What are the innovative interventions that we will throw in?
That's
there?
exciting.
Super exciting. And also, like it takes
hard,
the list. It's hard,
but it's exciting. The thrill is
exactly,
especially if one part of life is messed. You're like, now I will. It even gets more creative.
Exactly. And so I also got really good at selling the stuff that would embarrass my mom.
Yeah. I can imagine.
So she's also going to hear this first.
Yes, here.
on this episode.
It comes with the job. It comes with the territory. Yeah. And so, some of those products or services are essential still.
Exactly.
Yeah. And therefore you must think the person who needs them, what do they need to know about it so that they, build some sort of allegiance and alliance to it.
Exactly. So I did a lot of work, but one of the things that I really got good at was figuring out how to drive uptake of alcohol. They're big brands. Because you look at West Africa, it's a really tough market to launch a brand, an alcoholic brand in.
I can imagine.
Really tough because they have their stuff. They have their own stuff. Like
their local breweries, they are loyal to it.
Exactly,
very
and
much.
It's good. Like if you're an international or a global brand and you're trying to break into West Africa, it's not a walk in the park. Many people have been there and they have failed. And it became an obsession for me. Like I just wanted to show that this is not something that will scare me. I ended up making coming up with a successful campaign to launch an alcoholic beverage, which I won't mention. But at the time, I remember the current CEO of Safaricom. He was
there.
The MD
there.
of Ghana Breweries.
Interesting.
So we pitched to him.
Oh, okay.
And one thing I really liked about how he reviewed our pitch was he gave us wiggle room to do stuff that we had never done before.
Within the pitch, or like
we got the job. Yes.
Oh,
first of all, almost $1 million.
That's massive.
Yeah, massive. And then he's also giving us room to do stuff that is not usually in the. It's not usually how marketing
is usually done.
Exactly.
For the brewing sector.
Exactly. For marketing.
For marketing, yeah.
He allowed my team and I to first start the process with research. And not research at the questionnaires.
Deep research.
He just said, just do what you need to do, figure out. And we came up with this idea to, okay, we are trying to look for a market for this product. It's been really tough to crack into the Ghanaian urban scene. Now we need to find a market that can actually make this brand successful. So we ended up going to different parts of Accra, living there, hanging out, not having like a list of questions that we need to ask,
observation,
but just getting embedded into the day-to-day life of different parts of Accra, especially the old parts of Accra, where Accra started. And I think that was one of the best times of my life, despite things falling apart on this other side. And that turned into such a huge successful campaign. And I remember being so proud of myself and being happy whenever people said, oh, just take it to Mike, he'll figure it out. I think it gave me
a boost in
confidence. And I went on also to take on other challenging briefs, such as selling insurance, going to the DRC to try and drive subscriptions of mobile money in some of the tough places like Katanga. Again, successful. So we did a lot of amazing work there. It was tough, but I think the guys were so driven, and everyone was so hungry. And I think that in itself was just a huge boost.
Rewarding.
It was rewarding. But I was broke. I hated life. So one day I come back to Kenya for a company event, and I decided I'm not going to go back. And so I started working in the Kenya office. But then those problems were still there. With a company that is just chaotic every day, even cash flow, kuna issues everywhere. And then nuko tena home pia. This is not, it's making that situation even harder. And so I remember it got to a point, it got so bad that I would get into the car early in the morning, 4, 5. I go like I'm going to work, park outside. I don't want to go into work, but I don't also want to stay at home. And I would sleep hapo nje kwa barabara.
In the car?
Yeah. And it got so frustrating that I think that is when also I started asking. Now I started connecting upwards, and I'm like, why bring me to this point? Why give me so much talent, so much to give, but no one is willing? No one is willing to recognize me for it. Why also take me to a place where now I'm married, but then I don't feel it? Because it's just chaos all over. And I remember at some point I just prayed and I was like, I'm better off with nothing than with what I have. And I went into this like tough week. The car kept breaking down. I had never, me, I used to hear stories of auctioneers until I saw a letter. Thank God me, I've never been auctioned. But I think that just like it rattled me in such a way, I realized the hapa.
It shook you.
Yeah. Because it's not that at ESG I'm stealing money, I'm running from the law. I'm as talented as I've ever been. I'm doing amazing stuff. Like, people are saying you're the guy, but nothing to show. And so it happened really fast. First, I came into work one day and decided I'm quitting. Didn't have a plan. I'm quitting. Of course, people are like,
surprised.
This is like, what are you doing? Like, creative director. And I'm like, you don't even know the half of it. It's just a title. Not that my pay hasn't increased, but it's
not measuring up to what?
It's not measuring up. It's not consistent.
That too.
And also the working environment is just very bad. In fact, a lot of the lessons I learned about management was there. Culture. The idea that you need to stand behind someone to get them to do their job. I hated that. The idea that you have to threaten people, you have to keep people look on a baridi. I resented that. The idea that you are always reporting that you are doing great and you can see numbers, but you can't see the intestines of the books, and so you don't know if what you're seeing is real. I hated that because it gave me the sense that there were some people who are living large, who are getting paid.
I mean, when you even talk about the kind of budgets that just from one, from the Ghanaian breweries, you'd make, that's just one client.
Which before that I knew at Yapa, I'm set to do commission. Commission, nothing. Came back empty-handed. Empty-handed, and to make it worse, sometimes when I was there, I would even go hungry. Yet I was living in such a posh neighborhood of Accra, the same street as Jerry Rawlings. No money. So there's a line Bob Marley has in his song where he says, "In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty." I think there it was like there's so much water, but I was super thirsty. The irony. Anyway, I've quit my job. And then like I didn't tell anyone. And then also, shortly, I've also decided this marriage is not working for me.
Two huge decisions.
Huge.
Like back to back.
Yeah. And now I was there, back to square one. And there was this constant...
Was there children involved at the time?
No.
Okay.
No. So there was this constant fear. I still have it. You know, when you sleep outside for very long, there are things that become embedded in your psyche that that become fears. So I've quit my job. Marriage also finished. And I'm in the house. No electricity. In the dark.
Dude.
No food. I laugh. I'm that proud person. My family, I'm not telling them.
Yeah.
They know something's up. They had seen that sort of decline. But I was, for some strange reason, in that darkness, it was the most peaceful I had been in over 10, 15 years. No one was bothering me. No one was expecting anything from me. I didn't have to live to anyone's standards. I was just there in the dark and just alone.
For a period of?
It wasn't long, but it felt like forever.
Let's take it back from there.